Real estate. For decades, it's been a cornerstone of the American dream, with the widespread belief that property values will always rise. For many who managed to purchase homes over the past 50 years, the returns have been nothing short of extraordinary. This success has elevated real estate to a near mythical status, viewed as one of the most reliable paths to wealth in this country. However, that assumption comes with significant risks, particularly when we look deeper at market forces that can shift unexpectedly. As history has shown, real estate markets are not immune to severe downturns, and in this case, a wild and bizarre situation that almost no one could have seen coming. What many fail to realize is that under the right, or rather wrong, circumstances, real estate can become a financial trap. This isn't just about individual missteps, it's about how broader market conditions can create situations where even seemingly sound investments can crumble. With the following example, you'll see how real estate, once considered a guaranteed winner, can quickly become a devastating liability. The forces driving the market can sometimes move beyond anyone's control, and when they do, they can turn a prized asset into a source of financial ruin. But to truly understand the risks, we need to take a step back in time for a brief history lesson. On June 24, 2021, in the Miami suburb of Surfside, a 12-story beachfront condo building suddenly collapsed in the middle of the night. Tragically, 98 people lost their lives. In the aftermath, an investigation was launched to determine the root cause of the disaster. What emerged was a troubling combination of factors: saltwater corrosion, weakening the rebar, long-standing water leaks, and inadequate construction practices. Now, this isn't an engineering deep dive, but it's important to highlight this event for a different reason. The collapse wasn't just a structural failure, it set off a chain reaction of legislation and market shifts that transformed Florida's condo market into a ticking time bomb. What happened next changed the landscape for condo owners, developers, and investors alike, revealing the hidden vulnerabilities that can affect an entire market from a financial perspective. One key finding from the investigation into this tragedy was that the Condo Association had known about serious structural issues as far back as 2018, 3 years before the collapse. Addressing these problems was estimated to cost around $15 million. And this is where the flaws in Florida's condo market become clear. As a condo resident, you typically pay an HOA fee that covers various expenses, one of which is a reserve fund. Think of a reserve fund as a savings account for the condo association meant to cover large unexpected expenses like major repairs. The idea is to prevent residents from being hit with sudden massive bills. However, the issue was that these reserve funds were not well regulated. It was largely up to each condo association to decide how much money they thought was enough to put aside, often with little oversight. As a result, many reserves were severely underfunded, leaving residents vulnerable to unexpected financial strain. In this case, the condo association had about $700,000 in reserve funds, far below the estimated $15 million needed for repairs. According to association reserves, the recommended reserve amount at the time was $10.4 million, more than 10 times what the association had saved. Now, let's do the math. With 136 units and a $15 million special assessment, each owner was suddenly on the hook for $110,294. While the residents did ultimately approve a special assessment, they had a hard time getting a loan for it, with a bank finally approving them in March of 2021, but unfortunately, it was too late. This situation highlighted just how difficult it is for condo owners to accept such a sudden, massive bill, even when they're told the issues are critical. The psychological and financial shock of unexpected expenses like this makes it hard for anyone to act quickly, even in the face of urgent repairs. So how does this impact the broader market? In short, the tragic loss of 98 lives prompted swift action from Florida lawmakers. They quickly passed legislation mandating that condo associations maintain adequate reserve funds and avoid delaying critical maintenance. The new laws require frequent reserve studies to assess how much money needs to be set aside to properly fund future repairs, ensuring that buildings are adequately maintained and reducing the risk of similar disasters. This new legislation means that condos across the state, many of which had been neglecting these issues for years, suddenly found themselves on the hook for millions of dollars in mandatory repairs and reserve funding. While the effects took a few years to fully surface, the consequences are becoming increasingly apparent today. In my opinion, this could be disastrous for a significant portion of the condo market, yet it's not receiving nearly enough attention in the media. Let me show you a real-life example of just how severe this situation can become. This is Cricket Creek. It's a 50-unit condo building right on the water off Biscayne Avenue. Now let's take a look at a particular listing there. This is a 2-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,000 square foot condo that went on the market 9 months ago in December of 2023 for $400,000. It sat on the market for months, with the sellers reducing the price by about 10% each month until May, when they reduced the price by a whopping 22%. The condo, which started off at $400,000, was now not selling at $192,000. A 52% decrease from the original listed price. And guess what? Despite this insane sale, the condo still couldn't find a buyer. Just recently, in early August, the listing was removed, with the buyer likely frustrated at what was happening. So what is really going on? If you dig into the details, you'll quickly realize that this condo probably wouldn't even sell for $50,000. And here's why. It's been burdened with a long list of special assessments. The breakdown is staggering. $175 a month until 2036, $160 a month until 2034, and a newly approved $30,400 for 2024. But that's just the beginning. $160K is due in 2025, $144K is due in 2026, and $116,000 is due in 2027. That totals a staggering $494,000 in special assessments over the next 4 years, not including regular condo fees. These special assessments, which were triggered by the new safety regulations essential for public safety, have unfortunately turned many Florida condos from valuable assets into outright liabilities. In this case, it's not unfair to say the condo has negative value. Even if you gave it away for free, finding a buyer would be difficult because it comes with massive debt in the form of these special assessments. In fact, after digging into the history of this particular listing, I can show you how someone who bought it in 1980 likely made the worst financial decision of their life. In 1980, this condo sold for $182,000. That might sound reasonable, but when adjusted for inflation, that's equivalent to $726,000 in 2024 dollars. And don't forget, 30-year mortgage rates in February 1980 were around 12%. The next two owners purchased it for similar prices, one in 1982 and another in 1984, but by 1993, the current owner bought it for $135,000, which adjusts to about $295,000 today. That means they've owned it for 31 years, and during that time, in addition to paying all the HOA fees, they now find themselves unable to sell it. The condo has essentially become worthless. From 1980 onward, this property has been doing nothing but becoming a financial pitfall, draining money without offering any sort of return. And while I picked this one particular condo, you can find this type of story all over Florida. And guess what? These prices aren't reflected in the overall graphs or stats because really these condos never get sold. They just remove the listing after realizing nobody wants these things. The situation on the ground is a lot worse than any storyline or graph can show. This is 30 years of reserved neglect all coming out at once, showcasing how assets can quickly turn into liabilities, and even real estate can actually become worse than worthless. When these people lose their equity, the association likely takes over in many instances, and the proceeds of any sale go to pay the assessment shortage. But with the proceeds non-existent, you have to wonder how all of this shakes out. And while we're on the topic of distressed assets, look no further than Foreclosure.com. Foreclosure.com stands as the premier resource for distressed homes for sale in the United States, offering a vast repository of over 1.8 million listings encompassing foreclosures, pre-foreclosures, bankruptcies, tax liens, and other distressed assets. If you're looking for a deal as a professional, please give this amazing website a chance. You can get a free week by using my affiliate code found in the description. And while you're at it, don't forget to check out my brand new Substack, which contains articles that go along with these videos with more technical details and charts. That link is also in the description. And finally, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed it. And leave a comment if you're a condo owner or buyer in Florida dealing with these issues.